Namaste, I'm Srilata Shankar. In our Leadership Talk series, in collaboration with MyStartupTV, we have Mr. Prasad today. He works with GMR Airport. Let's understand his journey. Welcome, Sri Prasad. Welcome to my podcast, Leadership Talks. My pleasure to have you as my guest.
Thank you, Srilata. It's my pleasure as well. I think this is the first time I'm doing the podcast, so I'm excited.
Our pleasure, completely. We would like to understand your journey. Could we start from your graduation and continue?
I'll tell. Basically, I'm a graduate from IIT Madras. I did my BTech in Metallurgical Engineering from IIT Madras. After that, I moved into IT industry. I was in Infosys Bangalore for 3 years as a software engineer. Then I thought I need to hone my management skills. Then I went for my MBA to the Asian Institute of Management, Manila, Philippines. After that, I came back to India. I wanted to be in India. I worked in small tech. See, the time I graduated, 2002, was a recession year. Right. So the jobs were hard to come by, and I came back to India. I wanted to be in India. Then I joined a startup.
So you surpassed the Y2K period.
Yeah, I did. So actually, 9/11, that thing happened in 2001. There was a recession at that point of time, and so the job market was not great. But I wanted to be in India, and I got into Pramati Technologies in marketing. I was there in a startup for about a year. Then I thought I should be in a larger company. I went back to Infosys. I was doing consulting and strategy and planning there for about 5 years. I worked there. Then somehow I was caught into the markets work, stock market. So I wanted to enter the financial services industry, stock markets. So I got into Edelweiss Capital in Mumbai, their investment banking arm. I was doing strategic research for about 2.5 years. Then, the Mumbai fast-paced lifestyle, I thought, I wanted to be closer to South India. Then I went into GMR infrastructure as, strategy planning head for the international business. Their chairman office. I'll just complete.
Sure.
So then, again, it was around 2010. That was again after the Lehman financial crisis. The markets were not great and all. So GMR actually closed down some of the international businesses, especially power business and all. They exited. Then I moved into something called new business development, and then I joined Kakinada SEZ and Port, which the GMR Group was developing as a head strategy and planning. I was there for about 6-7 years there, and GMR Group exited the Kakinada SEZ and Port business. After that, I moved to Hyderabad Airport as head strategy and planning. Then I was there for about 2 years doing strategy and planning. Then I moved to a commercial role. I thought I needed to get experience on the commercial side. So I'm heading the cargo commercial for Hyderabad Airport. Right?
So if I can put it in one sentence, your career has been a checkered career.
Yeah, it is.
Moved from strategy to finance to marketing, metallurgy as your BTech degree. So what made you move into various career paths?
Yeah, it was, I would say, first of all, metallurgical engineering. When I had taken up that, I was more of a physics student actually, but it was more of a chemistry kind of a stream that I got into. So I thought, this is not the right fit for me. And the IT industry was booming at that point of time. And then I moved to the technology sector. So I've been in the technology sector for quite some time. Then I wanted to explore on the financial market side. I wanted to explore. Luckily, I got an opportunity also. I thought, but that was also in strategy and planning. So I was, heading something called a strategic think tank in Edelweiss Capital. So it was related to strategy. So throughout, I've been moving roles in strategy and planning. So although I have moved industries, the core was around strategy and planning. Okay. Although right now I moved out of strategy and planning and I've moved into more of a commercial role. So my extensive experience has been in strategy and planning. but I wanted to explore on the commercial side, so I'm into commercial.
Okay, brings about a couple of questions in my head. We are most of our audience are young students who are doing their engineering or MBA or degree, PG, not necessarily graduation. Also, young professionals who have just got into the corporate arena. Maybe when I say young professionals, not just freshers, but even 6-7 years of experience. So 70% of our audience is that. So when you're talking of your career primarily in the strategy and strategic management, what exactly is strategy and how does one, that's question one. Question two is how does a young engineer or a management graduate get into strategy roles?
So yeah, so strategy and planning. See, strategy means you basically look at what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of an organization, a certain action plan. So we do generally in strategy and planning, we conduct annual workshops along with the heads of the department and the CEOs, and we actually look at various things. We call something called pestle analysis that we do: political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal. These are all the factors that we look at, and we do the analysis of the external environment as well as the internal environment. So we do both. So what we do is how do we leverage on our strengths and how do we have a backup plan or mitigation plan on our weaknesses, and how do you make use of the opportunities that you have, and how do you mitigate the threats that are emerging in the landscape.
Similar to a SWOT analysis.
SWOT analysis. So that's what typically is done during the annual strategy and planning exercise.
Okay.
And then we come out with action plans, and then we go about doing based on the action plans, we come up with budgets. So we do a 5-year planning and then a 1-year planning. So both we do. So both in terms of, because I've been at the GMR group, it's not only about planning, but what we do is we also make presentations to the board. A lot of board presentations were being made. So we need to cater to multiple stakeholders. One is the board. Board has stakeholders from investors and all. That is one aspect. Then how we communicate to the external world. That is also important. So we come up with all these strategies. So it is more. First, we do a 3,000 feet level or 300,000 feet level thinking and all. But then we come down to 100 feet level, and then we do the action plans and budget. And then we develop the balance scorecards, wherein the goals of all the departments are made based on the strategy. The goals are made, and those goals are tracked on a quarterly basis. So that's how we do. One is planning, the other is monitoring. This is in a nutshell strategy and planning is all about. Now, coming to your question as to how somebody, a new graduate, can get into this kind of a thing. See, generally strategy and planning, typically an MBA is required.
Right.
So MBA graduates are taught about the SWOT analysis and all. So an MBA graduation will get into a strategy stream. Strategy and finance, along with that, if you do both, then it will definitely help, because there's something called strategic finance, wherein you get into mergers and acquisitions, that kind of stuff. So it's not enough if you just understand the market. You also need to understand the finance. So I would say if somebody is really keen on strategy kind of role, they should do their majors in MBA in strategy and finance.
Most of the, at least the Hyderabad, Telangana based management colleges, I'm not talking of the B schools, but management colleges do not have strategy and management degree, or what shall I say, subject. So what about those candidates and students? Also, company institutes like Symbiosis and all, I'm not sure whether they have that particular subject. They may have a paper, but they don't have a subject.
So major is not offered in many of the
colleges.
Finance major is offered.
Correct.
Strategy as subject, couple of subjects will be there.
You have a paper, that's it.
So generally, you would say a general management degree would also suffice if you want to get into a strategy and planning kind of a role. But if you have that finance
combination,
background, it gives that edge.
Can an engineering student get into a strategic
Why
role
not? Definitely they can get into. So it's
without an MBA degree?
yeah, definitely. It's all about how you perform on the job and whether your
How much you learn.
organization is willing to give you those opportunities. For example, in GMR Group itself, we have taken in strategy and planning people from engineering background also.
Right.
We have some people we have taken. We have done that also, but more or less, if an MBA is there, it definitely helps.
It
definitely
adds value.
It adds value.
You mentioned about the pestle analysis, oblique SWOT analysis. Is this relevant to all industries?
Yeah, so it is a framework basically.
Mhm.
So any industry you take, that is applicable, that framework. It's a very quite popular framework. Most of the B schools and most of the consulting firms, if you say any of the consulting firms, Big Four you take or any of the consulting firms you take, they look at the pestle analysis. It's a very well known framework.
We have various departments in any company, like your HR, admin, finance, technology, etc. So, how does the strategic planning apply to various departments? I mean, I understand you do it on a universal role, if I may use that word, for the whole company. But specifically for each department, how does it work?
What we ask each of the heads of the departments to do their own SWOT analysis. So when we conduct the workshop, each department also does their own SWOT analysis and makes the presentation. And they will come up with their strategic initiatives with a 5-year horizon or a 3-year horizon and a 1-year horizon. They come out with those initiatives and they come out with the action plans and the track. So it is even applicable for departments as well. They can do even.
How different is strategic planning from goal setting?
See, goal setting is more about what you want to achieve in this particular 1 year. Okay, but strategy is about how you will tackle competition, how you will ensure that your revenue is maximized or your costs are optimized. So all those aspects are looked at in strategy. And the goal is basically a goal for your department or for
the company,
business as such. So there is something called a balanced scorecard.
Mm-hmm.
The balanced scorecard is basically derived. It's developed by Harvard Business Review. So that gives a good framework for developing the goal sheet of all the departments. I think anybody can refer online and they will be able to get goal sheet development.
Can you please explain in detail the balanced scorecard? Point 1. Point 2 is in an HR appraisal. I come from an HR department, so I'm typically asking this question as in the HR appraisal period, we do a 360-degree appraisal or a self-appraisal. So for or oblique balanced scorecard, very few companies do a balanced scorecard. So how different is balanced scorecard and it's 360-degree? Do you apply 360-degree in your strategic course?
Yeah. Typically looks at 4 aspects of
business.
Primarily, customer perspective, financial perspective, then process perspective, and then learning perspective. These are the 4 aspects that one looks at. Any department you take, any department will have their own customers. They have a certain process to follow. They have their financial objectives that they need to look at. So all these aspects are looked at in balanced scorecard. When it comes to 360-degree appraisal, you're talking about people, right? What is the feedback that you get from your peers,
right,
your
juniors,
superiors, and then your subordinates? So it is about your performance on the job. So it's not about any goal or target. 360-degree feedback can be like your superior will finally measure you based on the balanced scorecard goals. But what your peers give or what your subordinates give, they need not be on the balanced scorecard. There will be a lot of behavioral factors that will come into play in a 360-degree feedback.
360-degree feedback oblique analysis is never applied in a strategic role. Am I correct?
No, it is. Again, it is part of the HR appraisal process. It is not part of the strategy.
That's what I asked.
Planning. So it is different. 360-degree feedback is run by the HR department.
You currently work with GMR
Yeah.
on the cargo
Correct.
side, cargo commercial side. Can you please explain that?
So, my role as cargo commercial head is to bring more freighter airlines, that is the cargo airlines, to the airport. That is one. And the second aspect is to develop the cargo ecosystem infrastructure. So we have one cargo terminal which has a capacity of around 150,000 metric tons per annum. We are expanding that capacity to 250,000 metric tons per annum, and we are developing a second cargo terminal which has a capacity of 50,000 metric tons, expandable to 1 lakh metric tons per annum. So I'm keenly looking at the development of the second cargo terminal. Then also infrastructure around the cargo city or the cargo village that we're calling. We develop the truck parking, we develop the truck drivers lounge, we have something called the transshipment facility that we are developing. So all these infrastructure development I'm looking at, and also from a commercial point of view, we give it out as a concession for a third party to run.
Mhm.
So I manage the concession agreements with my concessionaires. So that is a commercial angle. Then the first part is the marketing to the airlines, freighter airlines. Recently, I was at the IATA World Cargo Symposium in Dubai also, where I had gone and spoken to a lot of airlines, and so as a part of my marketing job, I have to go travel and market our Hyderabad
Sure.
airport to the airlines. So that is second aspect of it. So from a commercial point of view, one is running the concessions, developing the infrastructure. Second aspect is the airline marketing, and also generating revenues from them through our airport landing charges. So these are the two aspects that I look at from commercial point.
So when you're talking about landing charges, of course, I'm not a technical person, so I do not wish to go into something very technical because I don't understand so much. But for a layman, for our young audience, when you're talking about landing charges, etc., across pan India, we fly out, I think, some 400, 500 aircrafts every day, or much more also. So how does this work? Every aircraft that is landing on India soil, you charge for it, is it?
Yeah. So see, the landing charges are typically for private, public-private airport like Hyderabad Airport are
Mhm.
governed by something called AERA, Airport Economic Regulatory Authority.
Okay.
So what they look at is the investment made by the private operator, and what is the revenue that they need to generate in order to get a fixed return of a certain percentage. So based on that, they fix a tariff.
Mhm.
So it is both for landing as well as for
Takeoff.
passengers. For
Okay.
passengers also, there is a user development fee. So for these two, they fix the tariff. So that is there across all the airports, and so that charges are there, and those charges depend on the weight of the aircraft.
Mhm.
We call something called MTOW. Okay? So that is the weight of the aircraft. Based on the weight of the aircraft, because they are going to use the runway, a certain tariff is charged. So that is there for across all the airports. That is there.
So you're saying light aircraft vis-a-vis Airbus or a Boeing is different.
Yes.
Okay. Why is it different?
So because they are using the runway infrastructure,
Mhm.
so the weight that they put on the runway infrastructure
Is heavier?
yeah, it
Okay.
is heavier. So there is a certain wear and tear that happens on the runway
Runway. Okay.
because of that. So that's the logic why for a higher weight aircraft they need higher charges.
When you're saying when you went to Dubai also and you were taking care of the marketing aspect, how do you attract United Airlines, Delta Airlines to do business with us?
Yeah. So basically, first of all, they need to be convinced about the market,
Mhm.
right? Whether so much cargo is there coming out of Hyderabad or
Mhm.
not. They need to be convinced about that. Then we will talk about the Hyderabad airport, the infrastructure, all that. But primarily, they should be convinced about the market. So Hyderabad, as you know, is pharma capital of India.
Right.
40% of India's volumes are produced around Hyderabad. And we are also the vaccine capital of the world. One third of world's vaccines are produced in Hyderabad.
You have your Bharat Biotech in Hyderabad.
Right? So we try to market that way, and pharma is a high yielding product.
So you're saying you promote pharma and Bharat Biotech companies.
We tell about Hyderabad, we tell about the traffic, everything. We have the aerospace and defense ecosystem also developing in Hyderabad with the likes of Tata Advanced Systems and all. So that is also.
And you have the aerospace in Bangalore as well.
Yeah. So we have the even Safran, which is a French company, is setting up an engine MRO in Hyderabad airport. So we try to tell about the Hyderabad manufacturing base.
Sure.
And then try to impress upon them as to why it makes sense for them to start a freighter out of Hyderabad. That is how we convince them.
So you specifically mentioned Hyderabad, but GMR works pan India. So do you also market various other cities vis-a-vis the whole of India?
Yeah, of course. A part of our job is also to help our GMR group company businesses also. But I have not taken that active role yet. But there is that is also something that we are trying to develop and do it. Currently, I am heading the cargo commercial for Hyderabad Airport. But we as a GMR group are developing the cargo platform.
Mm-hmm.
So the platform basically is a center of excellences that are there, which will share information across various divisions and various airports, and then we will be able to go and market. For example, we actively tell about our Goa airport also. Goa airport is new, just started about a year back, and we also talk about Goa airport. Whenever we talk to airlines, we talk about Goa airport as well.
Prasad, I have an interesting question. When you're saying about you try to market India / Hyderabad market, pharma market, or the vaccine market to the whole world, do you also we also ship various cargoes across the world?
Yeah, I mean, from Hyderabad, of course, goes across the world. So,
no, for example, US market, do we ship for them?
Yeah. Majority of Hyderabad's exports, interestingly, are to the US. Although we don't have direct connectivity to the US from Hyderabad, but we still have a majority of our exports to US and Europe.
I'm specifically not asking of exports. I'm asking, for example, like let's not say US, but Philippines, for example, a smaller country, do not have the infrastructure or the bandwidth to export directly to. So do we do it from India?
Yes, it does happen. Specifically, Philippines also it has happened. So pharma, basically India is a pharma. Hyderabad is a pharma capital, and we have a lot of pharma exporting companies here. All these companies are there. So they do export all around the world, and it goes to all countries: US, Europe, Russia, Southeast Asia, everywhere.
I'll repeat my question. So Philippines does not have the bandwidth to do the cargo business, not necessarily pharmaceutical, any kind of cargo. Or Philippines or UAE or Saudi Arabia do not have the bandwidth or the infrastructure. So do we,
As
GMR Group or as a group in India, as a company in India, do we have the bandwidth or do we do it for various other countries?
Absolutely. GMR is basically a multinational player now.
Right.
We have an airport in Greece. We have an airport in Indonesia. We had an airport, we have exited that airport in Cebu, Philippines also. So across the world, we actively seek opportunities.
Sure.
And and as a cargo business, if some attractive opportunity comes, we are really keen to look at it.
As I said, most of our audience is young professionals. What are the 3 important takeaways that you would advise young students and professionals?
So I think as a young student, I think it's very important that you develop skill sets. Okay.
Upskill and reskill constantly.
Yes, you have to develop skill because even if somebody does an MBA when they're going on the job, what is he going to deliver on the job. Because somebody is not going to be CEO directly, right? So they won't be taking decisions directly. So I think at a younger level, at a starting level, you need to concentrate on skill sets. Hard skill sets are very important. So you focus on that. Secondly, on behavioral aspect, I think one has to be very proactive on the job, and India is growing, and there are opportunities that are developing. So I think one has to be really proactive and seek out opportunities. If you really work hard, I think a lot of opportunities will open up, and I think you need to focus. And nowadays people are talking about 90-day work week and all. I would like to just touch upon that a little bit. I don't believe in 90-day work week at all. But like the competition is so intense in India that there is an expectation for you to go beyond your 9 to 5. I would not shy away from saying that because competition is intense in India because we have so many people, right? So I think you have to be better than somebody else. So in a corporate setup, it does happen that competition creeps in, but and it is competitive business. If you have to deliver a value to your customer, what extra are you delivering compared to your competition? You will look at. So keep that in your mind that one has to at least in the beginning of the career they will have to put in extra hours.
And I will add to what Prasad just mentioned is the 90 hours that he spoke about is one particular gentleman who was running a particular company. He was the CEO of the company. But probably what the gentleman mentioned is not the number of hours, but put in a lot of effort.
Yes.
Not necessarily, I mean, it was misconstrued what he mentioned, but it was not just the number of hours. It just put in a lot of work, put in a lot of hard work in a more precise manner. Don't say I've been working for 17 hours, but it's 10 hours you've been sitting in the pantry. So it doesn't make sense. Second point, what he mentioned was the behavioral aspect. I would add a lot of soft skills apart from your technical skills, which is very important. Behavior skills is not just behavior, but also soft skills. What are your personal interests, Prasad, apart from your job?
I dabbled with fruit some time back, but I think I should have started a little bit early, but I couldn't make it. So it requires a lot of effort.
Effort, absolutely.
Yeah. So
concentrated effort.
yeah, it does require a lot of effort. So I tried, but at least I gave it a try.
Yeah, what I'll add to what Prasad just mentioned is he mentioned add a lot of skills. When I say skills, it can be anything. It could be like Prasad mentioned, playing the flute, singing, dancing, cooking. But let it not become let it not be, you shouldn't be a bathroom singer. Learn from a proper guru. Learn it as a skill because it's going to help you a lot. I write poetry, I do tangier painting, block printing. So these things does not monetize me, but it really benefits me in the context of de-stressing. It also opens up multiple avenues.
Channelize your energy through it.
Channelize my energy, point one. Point two is it opens up multiple avenues. Today, if I'm conducting a podcast on my own, is thanks to the multiple avenues that it's opened up. What do you envisage for your future?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I would say, I'm still just a couple of years into commercial, so I'm learning the art of commercial today. So I think I would look at targeting becoming I'd say ultimate objective for any MBA to be CEO at some point of time. So I would look at leading larger teams and adding value to the organization and see how it goes about. Yeah, I would do it that way.
The takeaways that you want to give our audience,
So
or
as I said,
takeaways, oblique inputs.
So I think you briefly touched upon the behavioral aspect of it. I think as you grow in the organization, how you manage people is also very important.
Absolutely.
So I think that one needs to develop that skill set also, how you work as a team member and how you lead people. I think that is also very important for you to grow. So focus on that aspect as well. As a young graduate, it's your hard skills that will get you job. But once you get into the job, it's about how you work as a team member, how you manage your team, and how you can grow. That is what's important.
The last point that I would mention, what Prasad mentioned, is he said any MBA graduate would like to be a CEO. I would stress on the fact that don't let designations define you. Define yourself, grow in terms of your career, in terms of your skills. Designation will automatically come.
No, absolutely. I think you're right. I think follow your way,
Follow your passion, follow your path
path. Absolutely. I mean, see, everybody may not be cut out to
for
be
a CEO. And you don't have to be a CEO.
You don't have to be. I think you don't have to be, and as long as you're doing well on the job, contributing to the organization, and the organization is benefiting from it,
The growth will automatically
growth
happen.
will happen.
It was wonderful talking to you, Prasad. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being my
It
guest.
was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.